So just out here on the 790 Adventure on an actual track. And I just wanted to very quickly kind of give a shout out, I guess, to Chris Birch. Don't know the guy, but just his SayNoToSlow app, which I've used. I bought his video series before. It's really good. He's got a dirt and an adventure series, and they're really useful for tips and tricks. And I submitted a question the other day, and it was about the rally modes on the 790 Adventure. And his tip was not quite what I expected, but really good advice, which was, if you didn't see it in the middle of the video or you're not a current subscriber, is I was asking about ride modes and ultimately what ride mode, if you were to use the dedicated rally mode, what should it be? And he said beyond kind of a beginner, I guess, or someone who's not hugely comfortable, skip the off-road mode. If you've got rally mode, you can use rally mode. And in the rally mode, what I assumed, being Chris Birch especially, I was like, well, he's going to be using rally mode and, doing, skids and wheelies and lifting the wheel. You want an aggressive throttle response for off-road. He actually argued that street, put it back in street for rally mode because of the balanced progressive power that it provides. He doesn't like the on-off switch nature of the rally mode, which makes a lot of sense. Use your clutch rather than your throttle for your control. Other than that, he said that once you get this mode, which shows you very clearly, what your different settings are: off-road ABS, street mode, throttle response, and your 5 is your slip allowance. And he was saying that probably 5, middle of the road, is maybe your resting point, if you like, and then you dial up and down according to traction. And the tip that he gave was, if there is no traction, traction control is not going to do anything. So it's about controlling the traction you have, which is an interesting way to look at it. Sometimes you think, you put it up, obviously, if you're in struggling with sand or really slippy modes, but in that situation you turn the traction control down, which kind of, I guess, to some extent is common sense, but you could still be in doubt with that quite easily if you don't really understand what these modes are. So yeah, I'm gonna, I guess, put this mode into practice today. As like I say, always default to the standard off-road mode, which cuts the power a little bit. I'll have a little bit more power today. And we'll see how it goes. So another thing is, I've got the Insta360 with me today. I've been using a DJI 2 Action, but I found that I was often making mistakes where I wasn't necessarily pointing in the right direction, or I was a little bit low on the helmet, or ultimately the quality that came through, although I was kind of using lower quality because I didn't think it would come through on YouTube anyway, at times, just was a little bit blocky and I wasn't really happy with it. So it's like, well, if full quality isn't really my thing, which the Insta360 isn't necessarily giving you, I thought I might give it a go to see whether the versatility would allow me to just kind of point and shoot, as it says, and get, like with anything, you want to be proud of the work that you do. Not that this is work, of course. Still. So yeah, it's a lot more slippy this route today than it has been, so I'm taking it quite easy. And just taking my way through. I've said it before, but the 780 is really good for this bike. And some other bikes, when you start taking it slow, it almost starts to work against you. This bike, because I guess of the kind of shit. Wait, how to save that one? The 790, because it is quite forgiving in a lot of ways in its weight balance. I lost a little bit of my confidence here, because it is a little bit more forgiving in its centrifugal forces they talk about, and the balance of centralized balance, and the way the tanks are, and low weight. And I mean, I feel like for the 790 it definitely does come through. I mean, in that scenario where I basically slipped slightly sideways off a big-ish rock, yeah, for sure, I lost it. I think I was going a little bit faster. Actually, that would have avoided that situation. But because of the conditions kind of leading into it, I wasn't, which is all experience. Then, ultimately I was able to save it. Because although you feel, on the bigger bike, the weight starts to go away from you, you still have control. You get that clutch in. First and foremost, take the power out of the equation. you could hear it rev through. That's because I had the clutch fully engaged. As a beginner, you might be tempted to almost like, the rev goes up, or your instinct goes against you a little bit. So training, it's not just instinct. You obviously train to avoid your instinct in a scenario like that. Clutch goes in rather than out, and you've still got control, even if you don't feel you've got control. And although you might still not end up in the most ideal situation, you might be able to do something about it. On the very tail end of that slip, I definitely felt like that was it. In terms of, I wouldn't save that one. I kind of had already in my head, these time slows down a little bit when you start to get into a bit of a wobble. I was already kind of thinking about, well, if I do fall, what direction I want to fall, is it going to be, I'm going to get hurt, and how much effort to put it ultimately into saving it. I felt like even if I dropped it, I would be okay. And you kind of almost know that in those split seconds sometimes. But yeah, this feels good. I like the rally mode. I can definitely feel that it's got a slightly more power available to me, even if I'm not using it, which is actually quite nice. There's something here. Hey, focus. Another route. Byway open to all traffic. Nice. I've never been on this one, which is maybe not the best choice on a wet, slimy day with tyres that don't always make me feel comfortable. Well, we'll go down. Worst case, I can always turn back. Famous last words. Did that before. Been a while. Usually, if it's I think actually one of my videos where I got stuck on a lane and really struggled to find a way to turn it and get back up, which a lot of people had nice comments on and enjoyed me share, appreciated me sharing. I think that I actually made a mistake, and I followed an open to routes bridleway into a bridleway. So I wasn't actually supposed to go down there. So it's just, well, I didn't. But it was pretty impassable, which makes a lot of sense in hindsight. I was kind of following it. You can get caught out by that sometimes. You need the map ultimately. I should have had a map at the time and checked it. But sometimes you can have, a sign that says, byway open to all traffic. But it can sometimes transition into, you might go through a gate or a different transition. And actually it's not. It's kind of a dead end. And you pass into a bridleway. There's actually an example of that in the last route I was on as well. If you take a different turn, you'll end up on a non-access byway, which isn't open to all traffic. So yeah, always worth referring to the maps. Even if you are already kind of carrying a route, so kind of knowing them as opposed to following them within reason, I think is a good idea. Well, this is fine. Little bumble along here. Nice little route. Just might check in a minute whether I'm still on one, of course, as well, but pretty sure I am. Follow my own rules. It's a nice sheep. Can't remember if I was on this one. I went, again, another shout out for Overlandadventures. There's a guy called Boyd who runs that in the Peak District, and I've joined him when I had my 390 adventure, and he took us on a guided Green Lane tour of the peaks, which is great. I think we covered well over 100 miles of routes, from covering some of the ones that I still do now through to ones that he kind of had maybe specific access to. Might just check my maps just to be on the safe side. That he has specific access to maybe in some cases, but I'm pretty sure he did all open routes. But anyway, lovely guy, and it was a really fun day. It was really worth doing it through the peaks, and it wasn't expensive or anything either. Yeah, we're good. It's just straight. Until we get back on. Do we go back on the road? It looks like maybe back on the road. Or it just keeps going until, I don't know, I'll keep following it and see. Yeah, it was definitely worth doing. And even though I've been on it before, I would do it again. For sure. Because the The other option is the TRF, the Trail Fellowship group. The only thing I found about that, I was signed up and had access to the maps and everything, which were really good. And they're not in an app. You kind of have to work for them a little bit more, but they give you an better idea than the OS maps. Exactly what's open and all, and they do the work to make sure that they're checking them. Is that the actual groups? Not to criticise them at all, but it feels a little bit closed. The actual groups, you kind of have to specifically attend the meetups, which is what they advocated to do if you manage to get in touch with them. And they meet, I think it's every second Thursday of every month or something, depending on your region, something like that for Derbyshire. Is that it felt like a bit of a a set of codes to kind of go through, to really be kind of signed up. And I didn't really have the time to do that, and as a result, I never really got to join the days out, or really meet up with maybe the adventure riders that would be good, obviously, to meet and stuff. But through that specific group, it never quite worked for me. I'm sure it works for lots of people, for sure. And I definitely had another guy who was actually on Boyd's group as well, and he'd gone out with them semi-regularly, and found the right level to be in, if you like, of the group that he joined, and that was really beneficial. So definitely different things for different people. But yeah, for me, I kind of wish it was I don't know, maybe a little bit more modern, or I think quite a lot of activities on Facebook as well, and I'm not on Facebook, which is you can't expect people to bend around me, but it's just a choice that I made a number of years ago. It does mean that you're excluded from where that conversation might be happening. I couldn't quite figure out how to get in touch with anyone else that was part of the members group. And if anybody is watching, in the Derbyshire area and is riding a big bike, feel free to get in touch in the comments, or I think that maybe my email is indirectly available here as well. So if you do want to get in touch, you're more than welcome to, and we can see if we can maybe find a way to ride. Yeah, this is alright, isn't it? Yeah. Decided to turn around. I don't think. There's a bit of a hill on the other side, not quite sure how long the lane is as a whole. So I'm going to turn around here. Which hopefully won't be too difficult. A little bit of a hill on the side, but I'll be alright. And go back the way I came. I'm running a little bit short on time anyway. Okay. Normal hill, normal conditions. Although this is a big bike, it's actually not too difficult to get it turned. Although sometimes it's not the first time you turn it or pick it up or whatever, it's the 10th time. I definitely feel, I don't know, the in rally mode, the street mode, sometimes it's a good thing. I don't know, sometimes I feel like even then it's maybe, just because I'm not used to it, I guess, but it does feel a little bit snatchy compared to the off-road mode. And that's the one advantage of the off-road mode, it's so docile. It never surprises you.